Okay.
Today did not stay late.
Well, with that said, that has been the warm up, sir. We are doing warm up exercises, and that has been it. So we are jumping right into the start, and we're gonna be taking a look at an inside deep look at a documentary in the making. Hopefully, you're gonna have great questions. But you know what? My mentality is that there's no such thing as a bad question. So you can only have good
Mm.
questions.
Okay, I only have good questions actually.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Are you prepared? Did you write down some stuff or are you going to be improvising on the
Yeah,
spot?
I wrote. I just have to find it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, take
okay,
your
I know
time.
where it is. I know where it is.
Take your time. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Oh my god, this is going to be so great. I've never done this before, but having the chance to be interviewed by another screenwriter is just the top of the cherry. Is just the top of the cake for us.
Right, right. Like it's like a mega collaboration thing. This is
Yes.
okay. It's
Take it away.
wait, what?
Wait, what? Who? What? My name is.
What?
My name is.
My name
My
is.
name is.
My name is.
Sicka Sicka
Okay,
Slim Shady.
but
Ooh.
it's Patrick searching Patrick. What the? Okay, I don't have those here, but I know more or less the questions I wanted to ask you. So first of all, eh, what happens in like in all of this experience in Mind Valley Universe that you weren't expecting?
Okay. So I was not expecting to connect with so many great people there, and this has inspired me to create something good into the world. And that good in my mind is gonna be a document, a film, and it's gonna live on, hopefully, and make a mark in the realm of the what we call the page, the realm of the pages of the world, and hopefully, in the realm of the pages of the world, we will get to have our mark on this, and I I was just really fueled with ambition to create something new. And I think this is a very good question because I'm not expecting that to happen. I was expecting to go to a conference and then, learn some stuff. But the ambitious drive that has taken place there and that has manifested there is really something that has happened at Mind Valley University. And since then, I've been trying to live up to that ambitious drive that has, manifested there, that has taken its hand on me.
Okay, okay, I like that. I like it. And let me ask you something. What exactly in that drive, in that ambition, what is what pulls you? Like you you said it is very important for you. Like you value so much to impact the world that you want to impact the world, and that drive just come up. What exactly do you think is making you feel that? Like is pulling you to that?
Right. So, there's a story about a rabbi who goes to a school and he's being said that there's a story about a rabbi who go to the school and they told him that there was gonna be 100 students there, and he shows up and there are only 4 students there, and the rabbi is smiling and says, "Oh, I was promised that there was gonna be 100 students there, and there's only 4 of you. But that's okay, because I'm not speaking only to you. I'm speaking to you and your children and your children's children. I believe my stories are going to have an impact on you and the generations ahead of you. So I'm inspired by that school of thought, that thought, and I hope to be making an impact that has generations ahead of us involved and affected by that. And what do I mean by that? I hope to be making a personal impact because I believe that this documentary, which is about a young man that is soon to become a young father who realizes his child may be having a condition that has been passed down to them, and the young man is trying to do everything he can to ensure that the child has a bright future ahead of them. So there you go. And that young man happens to be myself. And so the documentary is a documentary about what I do as a young man preparing for parenthood and ideally trying to educate my children in a way that is in a documentary form.
Okay. So you are doing this documentary especially for your children.
For my child in the future, yes, for my children.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And their
Okay,
children's
okay.
children. Who knows? Who knows how long this wisdom is gonna last? Maybe my grandchildren are gonna watch this too.
Yeah, and as you told the story, probably you will impact also their children and their grandchildren. Um,
Hopefully,
Actually,
yes.
that was an amazing story. That was an amazing story. I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes I also overlook the fact that you could impact so many people just by impacting the person next to you. That was very cool. And let me ask you, are you nervous for the future? For what comes?
Am I nervous for the future? That is a very
For
interesting
being
question.
for the parenthood, for becoming a parent, and also because I see that you want to rattle the world. Are you nervous that becoming a parent will create a conflict and you won't be able to pursue this passion of yours?
Well, that's an interesting question. Um, well, my answer would be that I'm not nervous about the present, I'm not nervous about the past, but I'm a little bit nervous about the future. Because if, you know, my child would have to, or let's rephrase it again. I'm not nervous about the past, I'm not nervous about the present, but I'm a little bit nervous about the future. Because, you know, ideally you want to learn from other people's mistakes. Not your own mistakes only, but other people's mistakes. And what I want to do is that I want to show the world and show my family the mistakes I have made and how I have learned from them so that they too can learn from it. And so this nervousness comes to be solved by the pursuit of me showing this. And so what I believe in is that if and when I get to create a school of thought, a school of philosophy that ensures the self-efficacy, the self-judgment, the righteous moral judgments of a being, then I get to be a good role model. And if I get to be a good role model, then I lose my nervousness about the future. So am I nervous about being a parent? becoming a parent. Am I nervous about becoming a parent? No, I await the moment, the day when it comes that I get to hold my child in my arms. I think that will be a beautiful moment. And at the same time, there's this moment called Mazel Tov. That means onto you. And that means that we pass on everything onto you, the challenges, the solutions, and the world to come. So it will be a moment where we say, it's on to you, it's Mazel Tov.
Right, right. Okay. Like, there is so much to unpack here, but one thing that I want to really get clear, what does it entail being a good role model for your children? Like, what do you think would how would you be a good model? Like, in terms of character.
In terms of character, I believe, well, that's, you have so many good questions, man. I love that. Wow, what would it entail in terms of character for me to be a good role model? I think a good role model shows you that that they too have challenges, and at the same time they can solve them. And this makes it easy to reconcile the fact that everyone has challenges and everyone has the capacity, hopefully, to solve them. And if you don't have the capacity as of today, maybe tomorrow's day will ensure that you'll be better and you'll have the capacity then. And if you don't have the capacity then, you can always ask for help. And a team, a group of people can gather together and help you in meaningful ways, I believe. So, a good role model, I believe, is someone who can understand a challenge, can solve a challenge, and if not, can do anything possible to gather people together and have the intelligence to work together and solve it together. So that's what I love about my role models, that they get to become a part of a team and work on solutions, and that ensures the safety and the well-being of the group and themselves.
Well, I love that. I love how you see a good role model that seems that child. How will he grow up and the values he will be instilled on? I love that. I love that. And now that's going a bit more deep. You know, there is a great um, difficulty, not difficulty, but dilemma that is when we are in personal growth, we want to affect the people around us for the better, right?
Right.
But we also don't want to force them to become better. Like we don't want to force them to take on our beliefs, right?
Right.
With that in mind, how do you will you take your child to events like Mind Valley University? What how will you instill this passion for personal growth in your children without forcing them to
Right. That's another great question. Do I know the answer? I haven't had children before, so I don't know much about parenting. But let's say that that is the default for everybody. So all parents are improvising. Let's say that. A friend of mine said that all parents are being a dad means you get to improvise 24 hours a 7, 24 hours a day.
I like.
So yeah, and
Okay.
I yeah, I think if and when I get to become a parent, if I when I get to become a dad, I will be improvising 24 hours a day in a meaningful way, hopefully. That will be character forming, and that will be um ideally impactful, but in a slow and tiny manner. I don't believe that you should be giving huge impacts early on to your child, like forcing them to go to competitions or soccer games or whatnot. I think small and meaningful, tiny little impacts can make their ways due. So I would be asking questions. Socrates was a great philosopher, and Socrates was teaching through the method of asking questions. So I will be asking them questions like, oh, and also as I'm doing that, I also explain to them what I'm doing. So yeah, if you are my child, I would say, hey, if that's okay, I'll be asking you a couple of questions to see where you're going with your day. Is that all right? Okay. And then what are you gonna do after we finish lunch? And then, okay, so he would then explain that we were gonna go out on a hike. And then, do you wanna go up to the highest point of the mountain? And then he would say, yeah, Dad. And then I would ask, okay, what would it mean for you to go up to the highest point of the mountain? And then he would answer, success. And I would be like, okay, so success is what we're gonna be going for. It's gonna be difficult because climbing a mountain is ain't no easy job. But let's do it together. If we need to take breaks, we're gonna take breaks. That's okay, but we're gonna go for success, as you said, and then we're gonna summit the mountain together. So that's what I would do. Ask questions and answer what I'm doing to them.
Okay, okay, I like that. The process of asking questions. I think a great part, or probably most part, of your quality of life is determined by the quality of your questions. So
That's
tell
so
me,
right. Yeah, I love that. I love how you said that.
yeah, right, right. And here's the thing, I think that's also how science evolved, right? By asking questions, how everything evolves, by getting the feedback and asking some questions.
Right.
About science, tell me, why do you think you can mirror that thinking that you want to instill in your child from science, or do you think that deep thinking about asking questions came from another place, from a place of personal growth?
That's another great question. I think I have a friend whose name is James. James is a scientist, and he believes that it is a natural place for us to arrive at a curiosity moment. And it is natural for us to feel curious about the world and to try to learn about it. So he argues that the only natural point of inquiry for us is to become a scientist at the end of the day. And he wants us to protect and cherish that inner curiosity of ours and arrive to conclusions based off of our inner curiosity and as we cherish that. So I believe that it is very important to cherish a child's curiosity and at the same time, um, instill some sort of grit in them because grit can make you go the extra mile that is needed for breakthrough discoveries and for the things that are interesting. So, is it scientific? Is it scientific to be curious? I think it's natural. I think it's natural, and maybe it comes from the our personality. Maybe it's a personality trait. Maybe it comes from the mindset of personal growth that you cultivate your inner child and your own curiosity. But I think when you're when you're children, you don't have to think about your personal growth. You don't have to think about anything because it's in you. You were born that way that you're curious. So I think I would just accept and acknowledge the um, awesomeness that a kid comes with and help them cultivate their inner curious minds. And for a second I was gonna say a Greek word like kurios. What does that mean? Yeah, I was like, what? But yeah, so if that's what I would do, then that's what I would do. Cultivate inner curiosity. That's what I would do.
Okay, that's cool. I see that. I see that. Well, I want to come back a bit, and I already asked you what happened that in Mind Valley University that you weren't expecting.
Right.
Now I want to ask you a bit of a reverse question. What were you expecting to happen if you were expecting to happen something and didn't?
Oh, okay. Well, wow, that's another great tricky question. You have so many good questions, man. I love that. And these are all improvised, right? You lost your paper, so we're like, what?
Completely.
Right. Good. Good. I was expecting to see a huge globe. Like a huge globe where everyone would point to and would say, oh, that's where I'm from. Oh, that's where I'm from. I'm from this part of the globe. Like a huge ball where people would go to and they were like, oh, I'm from this part of the world. So yeah, and that did not happen. There was no globe at Mind Valley University, even though I was expecting it to be there.
Yeah, that would be cool to see everyone pointing their where they're from. Yeah, yeah.
Also, book sales.
And
I was expecting more books to be there, but they were not allowing authors to sell their own books there.
okay, that's unfortunate too.
Yeah.
Tell me something. You were expecting the globe, but you were expecting because that would be cool, just because it would be cool, or is there any hidden reason, hidden wanting behind knowing where everyone is from?
I think I wanna connect our roots, and I want to see where we're from, so that we can acknowledge that we all live on one big beautiful planet.
All right. So we are all connected, and you want to reach there. You want to reach there. Um, do you think that is part of if if you think there is one of your purpose to connect everyone, or do you think that that is just something that you really want for someone to do it?
Connecting people like Nokia.
Yeah, like connecting everyone. What? Like Nokia?
Yeah, that was their brand motto.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the handshake. Um,
Absolutely. Um, well, I think at the end of the day, there are things that connect us. And one of the things is religion. One of the things is science. One of the things is nature, and there are many things that can connect us. The community effect of these connecting forces, I believe, are having a good impact on us. And rather than it being a dividing force, I think they get to create connection. And what and how people connect is a good question. And I think the World Wide Web and the internet has been a driving force towards making a global community. And I like that. I like this idea of our place, our blue dot, being a global community, because I find solace and safety in the fact that I have friends from all over the world that I one day get to visit soon, and I think the connection between generations is an important idea that one should look out for and cherish. And so the idea of not only connecting with your peers but with generations both behind of you and ahead of you. And so what I am trying to do is connect with my past, my present, and my future. And so and as one person does that, I think more and more people learn from that and get to do the same. So that's what I believe.
Okay, okay, I like that. That's a strong desire behind all of that, and I think a strong also beliefs behind all of that. I like that. I like that.
Thank you.
And tell me something. So you think that we could all connect intergenerational, right? So you want to connect to the past and to the future,
Right.
right? So what do you think? So what would be uh, I would say a milestone, a point where you knew that that vision is unfolding in front of you. Like you look at some interaction and you see that's what I was looking for.
Wow. Such a good question. What would be a milestone for me to see my vision unfold? I think while I'm preparing people with diabetes to conquer the Ironman. So if and when my students get to do this, I'm always just proud, like a good dad would be, and I love that. So every achievement, every right now I'm focused on athletic achievements. So every athletic achievement is one that I cherish and see as a milestone in both my life as a coach and in their lives as an athlete. And beyond that, I look for the little things, the little milestones, like someone choosing to eat a salad over something unhealthy. I think that's a milestone moment as well. But that's not celebrated like a big achievement, although I think it should be sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and what other milestone would I see for my vision to be unfolded? Um, yeah, if and when I have a child, it would be yet and again a milestone moment for me, both as a person and as a soul, because I would get to become someone who's starting to teach at the highest level, because parenthood is teaching at the highest level, I believe. So yeah.
Mm, I like that. I like that. I like that analogy. Um, it will make me question some beliefs later on that I have. I like that. Um, okay, so I wanted to do a bit of a warm up for now. Another question regarding you becoming a parent and yeah, becoming a father. So you have been living with this rare condition. Uh, how do you think it will affect your child? Have you, given that you have living with that condition from now on? How do you think you can make your child's life better?
Right. So that's a good question. How is it gonna make my child's life better that I have diabetes? Um, my worry is that I don't want it to make my child's life worse. So and there's a chance for it that it's not gonna make it worse, but there's also a chance that it is gonna make it worse for them because they may inherit this condition. But let's look on the bright side because it can make my child life better in a way that is perhaps yet unknown to me, and I can only be guessing. But I would say that they become more empathetic. They develop more empathy towards people with conditions. They will be like, oh yeah, my dad has my dad has a condition as well. That's totally normal. So it will be normalized for them, and they will be empathetic towards other people that way. Maybe they will look at para athletes from the Paralympics as noble and awesome souls. So so yeah, um, maybe maybe they will they will work on challenges that are more connected with the mind because they see the body to be a physical thing that is ought to be looked for and cherished, and they recognize that our mind is alike, that is ought to be looked for and cherished. So maybe they will be interested in going into the fields of the realms of the mind, and for that I would be really proud for and really grateful for.
Okay, okay. So turning every breakdown into a breakthrough, right?
Right.
Um, right. That's it. That I like that, and I like how you transformed completely and put that into a force that could change the future. I love that. And now let's go down a bit. How did having the diabetes affect you for the worst and for the best? Like, how did it transform your life?
Right. So diabetes have affected me in many ways. Some of the ways have been life-threatening situations, like almost passing out in the middle of a highway and having double vision while crossing it. That was a moment when I was not in control of my diabetes, and the condition has taken over me, and I would not wish that upon anybody. So, luckily, I'm here, so the cars didn't crash into me, but that was a very, very life threatening situation that I would not wish upon anybody. Um, Can you avoid these? Yes, you can avoid these with modern technology. You can have a glucose sensor up on your arm, and it can measure your blood glucose levels 24 hours a 7, and it can help manage your diabetes. what has been an upside for me in diabetes, it has always challenged me to think about the future, both the immediate future and the long term future. Because in the immediate future, you gotta understand how much medication you ought to be using, how much food you ought to be taking, how much exercise you ought to be having for the immediate future. And for the long term view, I think it is an extension of this immediate future thinking. And the long term view came when I recognized the fact that I one day will become a father. And I wanted to live as long as possible. It turns out that diabetes it has an effect on you that decreases your life expectancy, and I refuse to accept that. I believe that it can be challenged, and with the right amount of exercise and the healthy living, you can live as long as you would like. And so there's this battle for me in my life that I would want to live a long life, and I hopefully get to do that and live so. And so the long term view became evident and interesting and apparent and something that I cherish after I had this moment of epiphany when I recognized that I too will have to care for someone else. Not just for myself, but care for myself and for someone else. And as a father, the role of a father is that you provide safety for the family. You provide wisdom, sometimes laughter and fun, but the idea of the father role for me is that my father has been such a great role model for me. He has provided safety and wisdom for me throughout the years, and have been doing that now as well. So yeah, and and I hope that again, that construction of thought that is in my mind because of my diabetes, that I have to think about my immediate future, and because of that I learned to think about the long-term future. I always try to question the future and try to make the best out of it. So that's what I learned.
Right, right. So that was the probably your most empowering story of the life of your life, like how you could turn something very dark into something light. Was that the do you think your biggest breakthrough of your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think well, I think the biggest breakthrough is that I get to be alive. Because if it weren't for the
Mm,
medicine, if it weren't for the technology, and if it weren't for the medicine that I get to use, insulin would not be available to me. And it is still a challenge for other people sometimes around the world to be provided this great medicine. But I think I see that as a great breakthrough in science, and I see that as a great breakthrough in humanity, because the fact that you get to save a soul, that you get to provide medicine to someone who will then have a life, have a family, that is, I think, the great breakthrough. And every time I reconcile this, I'm like, wow, I use medicine to be alive, to stay alive, and to live life to the fullest. So yeah,
yeah,
I love it.
that that seems great energy behind it, and I completely admire that. Um, like how energetic you are, especially about this. Um, when you see someone that has more of a fixed mindset, that thinks that there are things that just can't be changed, that and that person just is not very enthusiastic about life, How does that make you feel? What goes in your head?
You know, I like what you said, that the quality of our questions define the quality of our lives. So I would be interested in hearing what kind of questions they'll be asking. So yeah, and I have empathy for people who think in a closed loop kind of way, in a narrow-minded way. I have empathy for them, but I think it's also our role and our job to carry the torch forward and to shine light on subjects and on ideas and on ways of living that is important and that can make lives better. So ideally, I don't want to be pushy, but at the same time, I would love to hear what they're saying, and if I can make something better for them, then I'd love to become an agent of change for them and do the best I can for them.
That gave me just so many insights. So many insights. Um, I, I like how you connected to what questions are they asking to themselves. Um, that was really powerful. Um, huh. Yep, yep. Great point. Great point that you have done here. Um, do you think, is there any obstacle that one cannot go through? Like, because, you know, in all of this, that we could guide people to a better place, and we could lead these the people that are in those closed loops, and we can show them a better place. Do you think there is any kind of condition or mental obstacle that just can't be overcome?
Wow, such a meaningful question. I think even if there are obstacles that we cannot overcome, we should always have the courage to try. And so I love what Aaron Sorkin says about a story. The principles of a story is that there's a obstacle and an intention. And in a great story, the intention overcomes the obstacle, and there is a resolution to our story. But in the remainder of the stories, there is a situation where the intention cannot overcome the obstacle. And that is called a tragedy. But I think um, if sorry, I'm not getting emotional. I'm coughing. But wow, such a meaningful question. Do I think that all obstacles can be overcome? No. I think that there are certain challenges in life that cannot be overcome, and at the same time, we should fight. We should muster up the courage to fight and not go silent into that deep night, and fight against the dying of that light. And that's what I believe in. I think even if there's an unbreakable obstacle ahead of us, we should always try our best effort to overcome it, because maybe one day we will.
Okay. What if there is an obstacle that the more you try, the less motivated you are to continue to keep going? What if that obstacle that you are fighting relentlessly, what if it just ends in tragedy? What do you think? Should we keep fighting?
What do I think about that? Um, I think it's the role of a scientist to not give up. And if that is the role of a scientist to not give up, I think we should learn from those people and understand that if I'm standing on the shoulders of giants and I can only look so far, maybe there will be someone else standing on top of my shoulders who will get to see farther ahead. And so, even if I'm not successful in achieving the goal, I hope I'll get to create part of a bridge for them to be in a position so that they can achieve the goal. So, in unison with that mythology, I hope that part of it becoming part of a team is in line with um, being part of a great story. And I think even if my role in that story is part of a tragedy, I hope that the end goal of the mission is part of a great story with a resolution and a great success story behind it.
Love it. Love it. So, more of it's not just about us, it's about everyone that is trying to overcome that obstacle, right?
Right.
Love it. Love that. Love that. I had a question. So transition. Now that we're talking about tragedy and stories, tell me, how do you think storytelling helps you in your personal development?
Wow. I think the fact that I understand the principles of a story helps me understand the principles of the obstacle that are ahead of me and the intentions that are inside me. And I think there are also great elements to the story where people come to rescue you. Hello?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
I'm in a low
Go.
battery mode. I only have 10% left. Let me
Okay.
put me on a charger. There you go. I'm charging now.
Okay.
There you go. We can run for
Good
4
charger.
hours. We can run for 5 more hours. I'm charging.
Ah.
There you go. Awesome. What was the question?
How do you think storytelling helps you in your personal growth?
Right. So, storytelling creates beliefs in me. Those beliefs empower me, and that empowerment create energy and movement towards action, and that action enables life for me. That is it.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Like it. And do you think there is a component of playfulness in storytelling? And how do
Playfulness?
you playfulness? Do you think it is? Do you think you use it for to get further to your goals, or do you think there is also a mysterious playfulness part to it where you can rejoice and just lose yourself in it?
Wow! You are a master of these questions, man. I love. Can I give you a trophy? I'll send you a trophy one day.
Thank you, I guess.
Yeah.
I accept that.
Thanks. Thanks for asking so good questions, man. I think playfulness, liveliness, and being part of a story is about a character. And everyone is a character. I don't believe that I don't believe that some people are not characters. Everyone has their own great characteristics, and therefore everyone is a great character. And if you're playful and you get to play with your own story, that's what makes all the fun. And yeah, so ideally, stories are not written; they're built. They're built by characters. And if you have the great characters for your story, it will be built by them on their own. So yeah, and if they're playful enough, hopefully they get to be the great children of the playground.
I love that. I love how the part of everyone is a character because everyone has characteristics. And tell me something. Those characteristics, that character that everyone has, where do you think it comes from? From the successes or from the failures of the person that has that character?
I'd like to think that it comes from the motivation that the character has, and that motivation is usually part of a greater philosophy that they have. So it's not connected to the successes nor the failures that the character has. I think it's connected to the rooted philosophy that they live by. And I think sometimes failures can empower you. I think success can empower you at the same time. But at the same time, success can ruin you, and so too can failures. So it's a tricky question because I don't believe in failures or successes being so great part of a character. I think their underlying motivations are a greater part, and therefore that underlying philosophy that they create for those motivations are even a greater part.
Gotcha. Um, your motivations. Where do you think you got your own motivations that you have throughout your life, your philosophy? Just tell us, tell us something about those and how do you think you got them?
Right. So, um, I have um, read that diabetes shortens your expected lifespan. And so I wondered what I could be making for my life. And I as a default understood that one day I would want to have a family, and I understood that I may not be able to spend so much time with them relatively. And so the driving force that I had was that, oh, but if I live the right way, maybe I'll get to spend more time with my family. And oh, and if I do the right things, maybe I can create a method, a technology, a platform where I get to help my family at the same time should they have the same problem. And so my philosophy became an act of not self-sacrificing, but but enabling myself so that it can help others, and and enabling others so that they can help me at the same time.
Oh, okay. What do you think really gets you with storytelling? Like, why is it so special for you?
Why is it so special for me? Because I believe that stories can live on. I think stories can live on beyond us, and I don't think we own the stories. I think stories are transcendent creations, and these transcendent creations get to be found by others through the help of technology, through the help of religion, through the help of humanity. And I think stories are part of the element that can connect us. They're part of the element that connects all of us. And therefore I love them.
Okay, okay. So, interesting.
Is there a universal story? That's another question. I think um, I think we love the hero's arc. I love the idea of a hero encountering a challenge and then failing that challenge at the first time and then learning from that mistake, having a mentor then who comes around and helps them, and then because of the help of that mentor, now the hero can surpass that challenge and have a victory moment. I think I love that moment, and I think that may be a universal story everyone falls in love with.
Why do you think it is?
Why do I think that is? Because we love seeing struggle. So we love the idea that there are other characters out there who struggle like us, and we love seeing other people being helped. And so do you love the idea of a mentor coming to the rescue and helping the hero? And so I think, and we love celebration. We love the hero when there is the victory moment. We love the hero when there's a celebration. So yeah. And we also love a good villain. A good villain can counterbalance the hero and create depth for that character. And so I think that duality of thought, the duality of muscle that we have in storytelling, I think is universal.
Hmm. I like how you touched the point that we love to see the characters suffer. Do you think there is a necessary component of suffering in life?
Wow. Wow. That's who can I give a Pulitzer Prize for this gentleman? Can I give him an Oscar or something? Can I give him a prize for these questions? What is this going? I thought this was gonna be a late night interview like, hey, how are you doing? What's your next project? Okay, great for you. Good night. And no, now we're talking about, is suffering necessary for life? Okay. Wow, Sa, good question. Good question. What do I believe? I think yes. I think part of life, I think there's a Buddhist belief about this, that part of life is suffering. And after the enlightenment, then you get to be enlightened and you reconcile that you are a soul and you're not a human being with a soul, you're a soul with a human experience. And so as a soul, you have to understand what suffering is for you to reconcile the greater humanity. I believe, maybe I'm not so eloquent in this thought, but this will be part of the things I will be thinking about for the days to come, because this is such a great question. Is suffering necessary for life? As of today, I believe that suffering is necessary, yes, but it is character building and character forming, so we should appreciate that for it, and we should understand that for it.
Okay, so that kind of suffering that gets you through something.
Right.
Do you have an example of in your life where you think suffering helped you?
Wow.
Was
Back to the origin of the worries that I had when I was having double vision and crossing the street in Toronto. It was a four-way highway, and I was really suffering. I was not having a good time. I was uh, I was on the brink of, falling into a deep sleep, perhaps losing consciousness, and at that point I was really questioning if I can get home. And as a character, you want to get home. That's your mission, to get home. And yeah, I after that I really cherished and appreciated how important to me the idea of home is, because I think at a home you're safe and you can be understood. And at the outside, my worries were left to my own devices, and I was not understood. Even if I were to ask for help, people would not recognize that I'm someone who is in need of help. And I think the idea of a home really puts me at a safer space where I'm like, oh, I'm understood and I feel safe. So that's what the idea of a home is to me. And but to get home, you have to suffer. You have to walk through the snow. You have to cross the bridge. You sometimes have to cross the river to get home. And that is part of suffering. And it is something that we can get away from once we get home. And at the same time, every time we leave our home, we have to suffer again.
right, right. So yeah, okay. I like your take on suffering and in life. Um, you also talked about Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's your the point of view, the philosophy, the life philosophy that you most follow, or that you are most in alignment with?
Buddhism? I don't think that Buddhism is
Buddhism.
the life philosophy that I'm most aligned with. No.
Do you have any school of thought that you prefer or that you are most aligned with? Or
Oh yeah, as of today, I'm waiting for a girl perhaps to help me get into Christianity. So that is our end goal, but I have been studying religions from a point of view that they have been developing. So Islam is the newest religion. Came before Islam, and then what came before Christianity? It was Judaism. So with that mindset, I was like, okay, so let's start from the beginning, and I started studying Judaism. And so, am I a practicing Jew? I don't consider myself a practicing Jew, but I have learned from various rabbis, and one of the things that I learned was that there's this idea about character, and it's called Yetzer Harar, which is a human inclination to eat the fruit that is in front of us, to be greedy, and to build a house first and foremost. And there's another inclination, which is a godly inclination, Yetzer Hatov, and this is a godly inclination to invite others into our house, to provide food for others, and to, be a welcoming being that is sharing. And so there's this human inclination within us, and there's this godly inclination within us. and there's a balancing act between the two. Which and how do we balance these two? And so ideally, we make small steps to create a better world for everybody. And there's this idea called tikkun olam, and there's this idea so-called tikkun olam, which is about perfecting the world one small step at a time. And so we want to be using our godly inclination to perfect the world one small step at a time and create heaven on earth. So that's what resonates with me the most.
Great, great. I like the last one, bringing heaven to earth. And you know, there is this kind of, I would say, fight, not only psychological but also philosophical, and sometimes even physical, about science and religion. How do you reconcile both of them?
I think science and religion can live close to one another. I think the great physicists have been wondering about the questions of the universe and came to religious conclusions at the end of the day. So I don't believe that religion cannot play a part in a scientist's life. And I think religion can be moral grounding to a scientist. As a matter of fact, I think the scientific revolution was there's this idea that the scientific revolution was motivated by religious thought, which was that in Christianity, people ideally accept that we are fallen creatures. And so we are fallen creatures and we have to rise above that. And part of things that we have to rise above is that we're fallen. And so the scientific idea can help us surpass our current understanding of ourselves and become even more noble. And so the idea of a scientific revolution partly was motivated by religious thought for some who believe in that. So I too believe that there's a motivation that religion can too provide, and this religion, the religious motivation, can be a good thing. Can be a good thing to better the world. It can be a good thing to understand ourselves in a more meaningful way. So this inquiry, I think, is motivated often by religion, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Sometimes people are just curious to understand the framework, to understand the concept, and so I think religion and science can live together and they can live apart. So it can be like a great marriage and it can be like a great divorce, a conscious uncoupling, right? So I think they can live together and they can live apart.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the times, though, I see an unconscious uncoupling
Ah,
um, between them. But I see how you merge both, how you beautifully merge the moral ground from religion and the scientific mind. That's that's interesting. That's interesting. I like that. Um, do you think, like in personal growth, there is this tendency of following some leaders, right? Because the motivational speakers like Tony Robbins or even Vishen Lakiani. So we have these leaders, right, in personal growth.
right.
Where do you think everything, like, how what is your relationship with these figures, with these celebrities? What I mean is, there are people that follow them blindly. There are people that hate them at all costs. Um, and I want to get deeper in those, but I just want to know first, what is your position on that, on those?
I have positive experience with great leaders. I think great leaders have shaped and changed my life for the better. So I'm biased for them. And yeah, objectively speaking, I think they have a great influence on people's lives. And followers like myself have been influenced. Are we influenced for the worse or for the better? I think we're influenced for the better, actually. So I think people who follow these great leaders have a better life for that.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, Next question that I want to get deep on were, let's say about let's talk about fundamentalism, okay? Um, and the part it plays on personal growth, because there is somewhat this culture in personal growth. There are people that are very fundamentalist about um, what personal growth authors have to say, that defend at all costs and don't think critically about those. You see it every time, especially in more of the spiritual community, um, or even in the red pill community. Do you know what the red pill community is, right?
I heard things about it. Yeah. It's from the
Yeah,
idea of the matrix that there are things that people cannot see, and then once you see them it's apparent to you, and then you take the red pill, and then you take the viewpoint above the matrix, and then you become a sort of wise being that is red pilled.
yeah, yeah. Right now in the internet, there is a red pill movement. There is more about um, masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so some wrong ideas about relationships and masculinity. And how do you think? Do, have you ever noticed on some possible fundamentalism? Maybe you noticed that so in religion, in not in religion, in spirituality. Um, do you think there is a part of fundamentalism in personal growth, and that there are people that want to create that, uh, to increase that?
I'm sorry, I
So
don't
the
really
cult,
understand the
the,
question.
so this in personal growth, you already shared your position, that on the leaders that are behind that, we usually see, and you associate very positive things with those.
Right.
What do you think about some parts of personal growth that most look like as cults, where critical thinking is not so much valued? You know.
Huh. What do I think about those movements? I think
Yeah.
I think like every movement, they should not be taken seriously. At the end of the day,
Okay.
every movement is something that ought to be questioned, and every movement is something that is ought to be you know counterbalanced with the counter movement. So yeah, with Reformed Christianity, the solution of the church was to build higher cathedrals and use more gold. So that was a counter movement to Reform movement that they have, and I think the counter movement to the red pill that we're talking about masculinity and it being more divisive or more stronger power than the feminine. I think the counter movement to that is a spiritual sexuality. So yeah, um, I think all movements have their own counter movements, and they ought to be looked at through the perspective of duality. What is the counter movement to that movement that I'm seeing? What is the opposite of this? If I don't do this, what if I do the opposite? So right, so these are the thoughts that I have usually when I look at these things, and what do I say to the movements that I don't agree with? I think it's absolutely fine to have movements that I don't agree with, and at the same time, um, you know, steering a collective. This is a very fascinating question because it's about steering a collective. And how do we steer a collective? And it turns out it's really easy to steer a collective to do the wrong thing. The
Yeah.
question is it easy to steer a collective to do the right thing? And I think both are easy. I think both are easy. And you can steer a collective to do the good thing too. But positivity should be louder in this world. Right? Positive people ought to be thinking big. Positive people ought to be sharing their views. Because if us positive people don't do that, then the negative people take over. And they take over the space. So positivity ought to be louder, and that's what I think.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I will ask a kind of similar question, but pretty different, I guess. Do you think critical thinking is necessary in personal growth?
Right.
Or how do you think critical thinking plays a role on developing yourself?
I'd like to believe that it is part of a healthy balance of critical thinking and a growth mindset that you can cultivate. So it's a good thing when ideas are questioned, and it's a bad thing when ideas are never questioned. But it is also a bad thing when ideas are questioned too much that they become fragile and they don't serve a purpose anymore. So over questioning is a bad thing. Under questioning is also a bad thing. Questioning things is a good thing, and sometimes accepting things is a good thing as well. So yeah, and so personal growth, I think, is a mindset thing, and being curious and questioning things is also a mindset thing. Are they polar opposites? Sometimes they can be, but ideally they complement one another.
Sure. Okay. So having more of a balanced mindset. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
This was one another question that I'll be thinking about for days. So you provide me with questions that I'll be like losing sleep on, sir. I'll be like turning in my bed. It's like, you remember that question? Oh my god, it's such a good question. I'll be thinking about those up at night.
Well, just popping in my head. Wait, okay, yeah, but how do you think overall it is going?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How do you think overall the documentary is going?
Well, I think it's going great. We are making full progress, beyond progress. I would say we're making more than progress. We're making magic.
Magic. That's what I like. Well, how much time did you expect to be filming this?
Well, we can go for 4 more hours. We can end it here. I don't know.
First of all, my creativity has been going a bit down, and I am a bit tired. Also, I have to go back to work.
Okay.
But I think we could schedule another day for some more questions when my mind's a bit
Wow.
more fresh.
Can I just say you are a very experienced interviewer. I don't know if you do this for a living or not, but you should definitely like go for it.
I actually never thought of that. Like,
Wow.
never.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me the time and the appreciation, and thank you for your creativity, your wisdom, and your attitude. And I really much adore this progress that we have gone through. And yeah, for sure, let's schedule another one.
Yep. I am sure another session will get better questions. Yeah. And thank you for allowing me to try something like that and to choose me to do something like this. I have been blown away by the wisdom that you've been sharing. I've already written some things that you said. It is really really interesting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, it's a virtual high five from each other on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Virtual high five.
Boom.
Bada boom, bada bing. And all right. And with that said, we're gonna hang up on a high note.
Okay.
Thanks again. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. See you.
See you, sir.